today's video, we're going to be driving over 400 miles from near Liverpool to the outskirts of London and back, and it's only going to cost us £14. Join me on this journey where we'll look at the efficiency of the car, what the charging's like, and answering that question, is it just as easy as using a petrol or diesel car? We start this journey just outside of North Liverpool and we're heading down to Beaconsfield services and back on the same day. This is Ben Goes Electric. So we're just about ready to go. As you can see, we've got the car 100%, which is showing 341 miles of range. There's the destination. So we've got 200 miles to go. We'll arrive with 40%, so plenty in the, I call it tank, but in the battery. We've reset our trip so we can check our efficiency. So yeah, we're going to be heading down the M6 basically, and then probably the 42 and the 40 all the way down to just outside of London. So let's go, and I'll keep you updated on the trip to see what the efficiency is like and the range and what the general feel of the journey is like. So we're just coming off the M58 now near Wigan to join the M6. So we've currently done only 11 miles since the start of the video. We're down to 96%. With a current efficiency of 253 watt hours per mile. Great thing is now we can do a bit of regen braking, you know, improve the efficiency, get a bit more energy back into the battery. You know, perfect thing for electric cars. Your efficiency is always going to be a bit high at the start. You know, your battery's got to warm itself up and get to its optimum condition. So it's not as efficient as it could be. So yeah, now it's ready to join the M6 where we'll basically do most of this journey on now. But yeah, it's a lovely, it's a comfy car to drive. It's easy to do these long journeys in. I've done a few of them now, and yeah, I'd rather do it in this than any other car. And as you'll see later, it ends up being pretty cheap as well, because you know I've already filled up from home, which costs probably about £3.50. So £3.50 to do over 300 miles already to start with is pretty good. And of course that's the benefits of home charging and destination charging. That's exactly the best way to do it. So yeah, here it is then, M6 junction 26, just near Wigan, like I was saying. Smart motorway section, of course. So yeah, it's time to let's start this journey properly, and I'll come back to you later on in the trip. So we're just south of Stafford. We've just left, yep, still on the M6. Nearing the junction where it splits between the M6 and the M6 toll. So just north of Birmingham. We're just going to take the normal M6, not the toll road today, because it doesn't look like it's too busy. So we've done, so if you look at the stats, we've done just under 80 miles, 79 miles. Which used 15.6 kilowatts of the battery, and that's given us a consumption of 196.8 watt hours per mile. And to my quick calculations, that's just around 5 miles per kilowatt hour. So yeah, very efficient, very good drive so far. I basically just been sticking to 65 for most of the journey and on autopilot, just like that. So very easy, not much to do. We've been driving for about an hour and 20 minutes now. So it's relaxing. Like I said, we've literally used just over 20% of the battery. Our destination's changed. I think when I left it was around about 40 40% would arrive on, now 45. So it'd been a lot more efficient than the car thought it would be. Which, yeah, it is great. You know, it's nice and easy. So yeah, we've got the sign there for the M6 and the M6 toll. I wonder if there's a big sign to say if it's clear or not. Oh, there it is. The M6 toll is clear. Of course it's clear, because you're going to have to spend £10.50 or whatever it is to the length of it. Quite expensive. Personally, I quite like the toll road. You know, especially Birmingham area can get very congested, very busy on the M6. So I'll, you know, usually try to, although yeah, there you go, yeah, £10.50. So if it's busy, I'll usually use the toll road, because why not? But yeah, today we're not, because we're just going to stop off at the next service station, which is Hilton Park. So Hilton Park, southbound. Just, I don't need to charge the car. You know, of course you wouldn't charge the car when you're, you know, near 80% anyway. You know, I mean, yeah, you can believe in, you know, charge while you can when you're stopped. But if you really don't need to, because your car is like up to the limit anyway, there's no point charging. So I'm not going to, of course. But I could, as I'll show you the amenities and stuff there. Really, Hilton Park, it holds I say special place to me. But when we used to drive down south to London back in like 2021 era, did it in a Peugeot E 2008, and that required 2 stops because, you know, it had a small battery, 45 kilowatts, and yeah, it wasn't the most efficient car. So it needed 2 stops. So we'd leave, you know, just north of Liverpool, and our first stop would be here at Hilton Park. We'll probably arrive at about 25%, charge up, and then leave, and we'll stop on the M40 near Sherwell Valley. That services there, and again, charge there before we make it to London. So I used to always stop here at Hilton Park. And back then, you just had the 2 old GridServe electric highways chargers, the 50 kilowatt dual bay shared ones. And there were sometimes, especially, you know, 2022, 23, when more electric cars started coming on the scene, that you'd arrive and they'd both be in use. So you'd be waiting, and then after that, you would then be shared power. So, you know, you'd be getting about 25, 30 kilowatts. So, you know, it was not the best experience. But the whole time there were Tesla V2 Superchargers. So, you know, if you were a Tesla owner back then, you know, a lot of Model S's, Model X's, obviously the Model 3, not really the Model Y then, because obviously Model Y came out later. And that was the exact same on the northbound carriageway and the southbound carriageway. So no matter which direction you were coming, you had to wait, or if you were lucky, then yeah, you could squeeze in. But again, it wasn't the fastest charger. But back in the day, that Peugeot wasn't the fastest charging car. I think it did 100 kilowatts max speed. But we still stopped, you know, on the way back to stretch your legs. You know, again, we didn't need to stop the car. You know, we needed to stop. The car didn't need to stop, is what I was meant to say. And the great news was, I found out that finally GridServe on the northbound side upgraded the chargers. So they installed their new 350 kilowatt units. So I think originally they had 6 of them. And that was great. You know, you still had the old ones, you still had the Tesla Supercharger for Tesla owners, and then you had these new GridServe chargers. Well, then that's great, because then the southbound's going to be the same. No, it didn't get any upgrade. So it still had the old, slower chargers. Then GridServe upgraded the carriageway again. So then it added another 6 on the northbound, which is the other side carriageway. So you had 12 of these brand new chargers, and yet still none heading south. And that stayed the same for quite a while. So, you know, you had great capacity if you're heading north here at Hilton Park, but if you're heading south, you had those 2 old chargers, unless you're in a Tesla like this, because they are Tesla only superchargers still to this day. So we're just literally arriving at Hilton Park now, where I'm just stopping for a stretch of leg and toilet break. Again, the car does not need to stop. It's at 77%. I need to stop because of my bladder, mostly. So yeah, we're just pulling into Hilton Park now. Keep going forwards. So the reason why I tell you this story about the chargers, you know, there's sense to it. So looking straight forward, there you've got the Tesla Superchargers there. Still the same since they were installed. Lovely. Again, I don't need to use them, so I'm not going to park over there. But we are going to go over here because it's all changed here at Hilton Park. You've got the old Ecotricity chargers there. But then just here, you've got the brand new GridServe dual bay 360 kilowatt chargers. So finally, you've got better capacity here at Hilton Park. So I'm just going to go to the toilet, have a stretch of legs, and then I'll show you around these chargers. And yeah, again, it's great. Plenty of capacity for everybody to charge. It's easy. If I need to charge now, I have options. I can go to Tesla or I can go to GridServe. Of course, I go to Tesla because it's cheaper than the GridServe. So yeah, let's go and have a look at these chargers. So I've just come to the northbound side of Hilton Park, get a little cheeky coffee. So let's have a look at what the chargers situation's like over here. Like I stated before, previously it was a lot better than the southbound side. So you've got the services all the way over there, and then all the way to the other side, you've got the Tesla Superchargers. There's 12 of them, one around the corner there. The V2 chargers, as you can tell, because they've got the extra cable for the proprietary Type 2 that the Model S and X still use in the UK because we've not had the refreshers. So shared, obviously 150 kilowatts, shared between the A and B stalls, so best to leave a gap. Can get quite busy, but as you can see at this time, about 11 o'clock on a Thursday, not too bad. They're paying around 37p per kilowatt hour over there, so pretty cheap as chargers go. And then just over there, we've got the GridServe units. So they are the 350 ones. No shared power. As you can see, CCS, some of them have CHAdeMO as well, but 85p a kilowatt if you use your card. But I think you can use the app and go down to 79, so still quite expensive. But yeah, there was 6 originally, and now there's another 6 with 2 accessible bays in the middle. Tesla have none at that charger as it's quite old. Quite a lot of nice colours to look at them. So you can see, yeah, CCS there. And CHAdeMO at some of them. Just your standard GridServe site, but just a bit expensive. So yeah, you've got Tesla and you've got GridServe. So we'll go and have a look at southbound, where I am, have a look at those new chargers. And last thing, obviously over there, as you can just see, you've got the original old 50 kilowatt units, dual bay, which as you can see aren't being used, but if you're here for a longer time, they're not too bad to use. But GridServe still charge you the full 85p a kilowatt hour, which is terrible. So again, up until recently, you had your Tesla ones over there, the same 12 V2 superchargers, just tucked away in the corner. And then over there, you have the old GridServe units, 50 kilowatts dual bay that we speak a lot about on this channel. So I got quite busy, obviously over there and over there. Until recently, where you've got these new GridServe units. Like I stated, 360 kilowatts dual bay, but are not shared. So if you've got an 800 volt car, you can use them. So both sides, as you can see. So we've got actual 6 units making 12 bays. Accessibles, both sides, on the green bays, but then the rest aren't actually marked with the blue that you used to see over there. So no, not bad bays. Nice big screens. Dual CCS 2 and payments, but exactly the same 85p per kilowatt hour at these bays. But no, a lot better capacity on the southbound side. So with that, we're ready to set back off and head south. So just gonna leave Hilton Park now behind a nice trip down memory lane, and great to see that the charger infrastructure is improving at all the motorway service stations. So this is just the beginning. So it's nice to see those new chargers as we leave behind and start the drive back down the M6 towards Beaconsfield. But the funny thing is, you know, again, you hear the whole, you know, oh, well, my car can do 800 miles. I don't need to stop. I don't stop. It's just like, okay, you might be the one person who does that, and that's not the life that I would enjoy. You know, I like to stop, stretch my legs, have a breather, have some food, and in that time I can charge my car, of course. And why, if nobody stops, because all your cars, you know, do, you know, hundreds of miles without stopping, why do you have service stations like that, which, as you saw, are busy? There's a lot of people, a lot of petrol cars, a lot of diesel cars and electric cars, all stopped, you know, because people need a break, people need to stretch their legs, because we're only human. People need the toilet. So I don't believe all that, as I'll call, wibble about not needing to stop and I'd have to stop, because, you know, when you need to stop for your journey, stick your car on charge. Before you know it, you're back up to 80%, ready to continue for another 200, 300 miles again. And this, guys, is why you probably should use the M6 toll. Like I said, always busy no matter what time. Again, weekday, it is the school holidays, so that can take into account, but just north of Birmingham on the M6, and busy. You know, it doesn't change. But the crazy thing is, because of this efficiency, for the last 4 miles that I've done since Hilton Park, 140 watt hours per mile, which kilowatt hours I'll put up on the screen now. So, you know, crazy efficient, because you're doing these slower speeds. But this is one of the negatives about this car, which I've got a full video coming up shortly about my peeves and things I don't like about my Tesla Model 3. So stay tuned for that. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss that video. Is on the slower speeds, the autopilot system, it's too aggressive, I think is the word I'd use for it. You know, it'll take you to a stop fine, but then as soon as the car in front slowly moves, no matter if you're in chill mode or normal mode, it will put on the accelerator like pretty harshly, accelerate way too much, and then we'll like basically slam the brakes on again. So not the greatest system. You know, my old Kia Niro hybrid that I used to have had, you know, TAAC and auto steer, and that did a lot of a better job in traffic jams. It was smooth, it was nice. I mean, of course, it didn't have the power that the Tesla did, but it never just kind of max throttled itself into a car which is not that far in front. And obviously that's not great for efficiency, so usually on these sections I will manually drive myself. But no, hopefully we'll get out of this this traffic soon off the M6, and then on to the M42 if I remember, and then it's after that it's the M40 all the way down. That's the last section of the motorway. We're just on the flyover near, probably approaching Spaghetti Junction on the M6. So yep, still all good. Efficiency's great, car's comfortable, plenty of charge. You know, I've got 76% in the battery, which is indicating 259 miles. And if we go to energy graphs, you know, if I look in the last 10 miles, I'd still have 352 miles of range left. Obviously over the last 100 miles, but the range still just under 300 miles with my current efficiency. So on the right day and the right conditions, this is definitely a car that could go 400 miles on one charge. And who can, you know, driving 400 miles non-stop is a hell of a task. You know, you're talking like 4 or 5 hours, maybe even 6 hours depending on the road of driving there. And that's a lot without stopping. And of course with the infrastructure, you can stop. There's no reason why you can't you can't stop and charge. You know, we'll get to that point, and we're already basically there, where you can stop at a motorway service station, and there will be a charger there. There will be a charger there for you. You know, but of course the price needs to come down because of that, because that's where it gets expensive. Because if you're stopping and paying 85p a kilowatt to charge there because you've got a smaller battery, your journey's going to be more expensive. But if you've got a bigger battery, of course, you can do that charging at home, charge for, you know, 4 or 5 quid to do 400 miles. It's a lot cheaper. It's a lot cheaper than a small battery. So especially that's, you know, when you come to, you know, getting an electric car, you've got to think what's important to you. Do you need that bigger range? Because obviously it's cheaper, but it's obviously more expensive at the time. But are you doing longer journeys where that will make a big difference to you? Or, you know, do you not, and you just do the odd one journey? Because if you're just doing the odd one long journey, then yeah, it might be a little bit expensive, you know, but still it'll equal out over the lower price of the car. And obviously most of your miles you're doing just got to go around town, so that doesn't matter. So that, you know, that's an important part. And a lot of, you know, car models and makes, you know, you've got the option, you've got like a standard range and you've got a long range, so you can make that, you know, that decision. And even to the point, your standard range cars, they're not like, you know, got tiny ranges. You know, look at this Model 3, you know, standard range, you're still, you know, looking at like close to 300 miles on a single charge. And then obviously you've got the long range where you're approaching probably 400 miles on the best case scenario. So to the point, sometimes, you know, you're looking, it's like, to be fair, the standard range might do what you need. You might not need the long range. So yeah, we've nearly about to pass over the 100 mile mark now, which we've used about 20 kilowatts of the battery and 192 miles, so watt hours per mile. So again, very efficient. Again, the miles per kilowatt hour is on the screen now. So yeah, we'll continue the journey, and I'll pick back up with you later down the road. So we're still on the M40, just north of Oxford. We're just past Sherwell Valley Services a bit ago. As you can see, a bit busy. I think everyone tries to get off at the A34, just coming up at the junction. So we've got about 37 miles left to run until our destination. So I was just looking at the truck, or the van here. It's got what looks to be a brand new Tesla Model 3 in black, dual motor, so all-wheel drive dual motor. So, or is it brand new? It's hard to know. It might have been in a crash because the window looked a bit scuffed. So yeah, it's very busy at this junction. You've got a lot of people trying to cut in late, like this bus and this truck, trying to cut in instead of waiting in the traffic. So you just got to be careful. So yeah, not much has changed since last picked up. You know, still driving down, still nice and efficient. Looking at efficiency wise, there's another truck moving right in at the last second. Oh, he's moving out. It is chaotic here. Let's move in here. So looking at efficiency, so overall efficiency, so we've done 164 miles, we've used 30 kilowatts of the battery, and that's a consumption of 187.9 watt hours per mile. Very, very good. And the good thing, if you look within, since I stopped at Hilton Park, we're at 178 watt hours per mile, so even more efficient on that second bit of the journey compared to the first. Again, I've just been doing motorway speeds, between 65, 70. I've not been hypermiling, I've just been driving normal. I've had the aircon on, I've had music on, nothing different. I'm not trying to eke out the range. We're trying to get as realistic figure as you're going to get in the real world. So yeah, no messing about on that. So it looks like we're going to arrive at Beaconsfield with 48% battery, so that's like up nearly 8% than what it estimated back when we set off. So you can see it's been more efficient than it thought it was going to be. That could either be down to driving style or even the temperature. I mean, it's 21 degrees, not particularly sunny, but still mildish temperature, which is pretty decent. But yeah, I mean, you do have some people driving a bit mad down the M40. You know, I think, I say legends have it, but from what I've heard, it's everyone's favourite part of the motorway because it's usually quite quiet and there's not that much police presence from what I've heard. So people think they can just bomb it down the motorway and they'll be fine, rather than staying in the limit. But you're burning, you know, you're just wasting electricity at the end of the day if you're in an electric car, or you're burning petrol, diesel unnecessarily, because you'll get to a light and someone will catch you up. You know, there's no difference. Like, you're not really saving much time, so you're best just safely driving along, you know, and save your petrol, save your electricity. So yeah, no, it's not been a bad journey. So I mean, if we arrive at 48% or around 50%, you know, if you've done double the mileage we've done, which will be about 200 miles when we arrive there, you're looking at a real world range on this journey of nearly 400 miles before needing to charge, which is crazy. 400 miles before you need to charge. You know, and you compare that to the early EVs back in the day, like a Nissan Leaf. You know, you're looking at between 40 to 100 miles, if that, on a Nissan Leaf. So yeah, again, electric cars are coming a long way. We'll just have to get past this middle lane hogger. Again, M40, you know what people are like. So we'll just get past this guy. And you'd think they'd learn, but they'll still carry on doing it. But what can you do? But yeah, I mean, if you compare what it was like before the start of this clip till now, you know, look, the traffic's just completely gone because everyone's getting off at the A34 as we carry on down south. So yeah, I'll pick those up just before we arrive and talk through some more figures and costs and stuff. So yeah, I'll be back in a bit. So we're just approaching the exit for Beaconsfield services, which is where we're going to end this section of the video before I go off and do my thing. So we're just gonna pull in, park up, and then we'll discuss some of the numbers. But quickly, we're just arriving on 48% battery now, as predicted. So not too bad. There's a sign for it now. Beaconsfield services. Not been a bad journey, to be fair. It's not been too bad. Yeah, since Hilton Park, it's been 2 hours bang on now. 113 miles later. So not too bad. So guys, we're at Beaconsfield services, just off the M40, just outside of London. So let's go through those figures, like I said. So we've arrived with, now it's 47. I've been sat in my car for a bit with the aircon on. You know, indicated 161 miles. So the actual trip, so we've done 201 miles, which has used 38.7 kilowatts of the battery, and that's given us a consumption of 192. So if you look at that, so that's 5.2 miles per kilowatt hour. And if you times that by the battery capacity of 75, which this car is, you get a real world range today of 390 miles from 0 to 100%. It's great. Like, that was a really good figure. 380 miles before you actually need to stop. That's a lot of driving. There's your like 4-5 hours of non-stop driving if you really wanted to. Beaconsfield services, like I said, so we've got the old grid serve units behind me, old, slow, but still useful, because the new ones, I say new, they've been here for a bit. Ionity ones, there's 6 of them, constantly full. So Probably not the best services to stop and charge at, because you'll probably be queuing. You're looking at 74p over there without the subscription. Obviously, if you've got a subscription, then of course it's a lot cheaper than your grid serve ones over here. 79, 85p per kilowatt, depending on. So very expensive. But I've done this whole trip from charging up at home overnight. It cost me £3.50. So yeah, £3.50 to do 200 miles, and I still could probably do another 180 before I'd need to charge. So, you know, 390 miles for about £3.50. You can't, you know, petrol, diesel cars can't come anywhere near that. So yeah, I'm going to go off now, and you can join me later on the return, where we'll probably have to charge on the way home, and we'll see what that's like. Is it hard? Is it easy? You know, how long does it take? Etc. So yeah, join me in a bit, guys. So that's my day down here done. About to head back up now to the Merseyside area. So let's have a look at the routing, what battery percentage we're left on, and where we need to charge. So as you can see, I'm on 43%. It's 148 miles. I've put my home address in, and it's put the Hopwood Supercharger in, which is just before Birmingham. We're arrived over 15%, and I think we'll have to charge for a couple of minutes before we can continue back up. And then I think it's due to probably arrive at home with about 5 to 10%, which is exactly what you want, because it's cheaper to charge at home than it is at the superchargers, of course, unless you've got free supercharging. And of course, depending on, we might stay there for a bit longer to have some food, but we'll see how we get there. About an hour and 22 minutes, so let's hit the road. So guys, we're just past Sherwell Valley services on the M40 northbound, heading still to the Hopwood Supercharger, due to arrive with 16%. I just chimed in here because we've started to precondition the battery for faster charging, so the efficiency is going to be a bit lower now. Efficiency is going to be a bit lower, so I thought I'd just give you some figures before that starts to affect the numbers. So we've done 47.6 miles since you set off, 50 minutes worth of driving, with the average consumption of 222 hours per mile. And then for the whole trip, we're still at 197. So still quite a nice efficient journey, a little bit more heavy on the efficiency on the way back. I think obviously it's more uphill, and it's not as warm as it is now. It's getting a bit colder. So yeah, not long to go now, so we've got about 30 minutes until the supercharger at Hopwood, which will be great to see. I've not visited that one yet, so you'll see me next when we arrive there. So we're just about to approach Hopwood Park services. So we've about an hour and 20 minutes since we left, 85 miles in. We've done 192 miles, and we've still got 17% of the battery left. So we've done from Liverpool, basically nearly down to London and back up to Birmingham on one charge, all for about £3.50. So that's great. That is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, we're just gonna supercharge here, not for long before we head back on the way. Again, just to prove the point that, you know, now I do need to charge. That doesn't mean I'm now sat at a services for an hour. This is literally just plug in quickly and go. You can see here we've got 33 available, plenty of availability. So again, I don't know what everyone's saying about queuing. I can see them in front of me there. So we're just gonna go straight forwards, straight to the chargers. Oh wow, there is a lot here. Oh wow. I mean, I know it says 33 here, but yeah, as you can see on the screen here, estimated time is 7 minutes, because at the moment we'll arrive home with minus 13%. And to the left of me there are the Apple Green electric chargers. So yeah, I mean, you know, when you're just like, which one do you pick? Like, I think we'll go in the middle, really. Just like that. And I'll show you around the chargers, as we've got obviously a tiny bit of availability here. Right, so that's us parked up. Let's show you how quick it is to start the charge. So the time is 5 to 10. Let's go and plug in. Simple as grabbing it, press the button, and in. Wait for that to turn green. And that's green. And we can check here to start to charge. It's literally 7 minutes for enough to get home. As we'll watch this ramp all the way up, hopefully now. So 170 kilowatts. Any higher than 170? 172? There we go. 180. Again, I'm not completely empty, so it's not going to be, you know, but we're approaching 200 kilowatts on the charging. Looks like we're going to peak at around about, yeah, there's 200. Oh, lovely. So just a quick tour of the Hopwood Park services, just like I said I would. So Tesla Supercharging, there's 36 stalls in total. You've got 5 over there on their own. Then you've got a massive amount here. Look at them all. And then you've even got more all the way around there. And then just over there are the Apple Green chargers. So plenty of availability here. Can imagine it gets obviously quite busy, but at this time at night, not busy at all. Services over there, toilets if you need them, Bacon, KFC, I can see. Greg's as well, I think. Oh, Subway, sorry. So yeah, a few in the Apple Green, a few Teslas over there. So it's a good services if you're coming out of London towards Birmingham. Would definitely recommend. And we are ready to leave. A bit longer than it needed to be. Just I was on the phone, so let's get out of here. So let's see what we're up to. So it's, there you go, so it's nearly 10 past 10. So, you know, just what was that, probably about just over 10 minutes. And we are up to 52% or 177 miles. Enough to get home now with 21%. So perfect. Again, it shows that it doesn't take long to charge an EV. And like I said, I've done London, from Liverpool to basically London, back up to Birmingham in one go. And within 7 minutes, I've got plenty enough to get back up to Liverpool. And if we look at the costing of that, that cost us just over a tenner, which is not too bad at all. So in total, you know, you're basically doing Liverpool to London and back again for about £13. So that is a lot cheaper than petrol and diesel. So let's get back on the road. So I've just arrived at the Kiel Superchargers here. So just a point to make, I've got enough percent to get back. So I'm currently on 33%. I'll get home with 18, so don't need to charge. But I do need the toilet and I do need a drink because it's getting a bit late. So I'm going to do the classic, you know, just plug and dash. So I'm just going to plug in, and the time it takes me to go to the toilet and get a drink, I'm straight off. So we'll see what we get up to from that. So we're on 33%. So let's see what we're on by the time we get back. So guys, I'm basically back now. It's just gone past 12:30 in the evening, so it's been quite a long day. So yep, we'll just go through some stats for the journey if you're interested. So in total we did 407 miles. We've used 85 kilowatts of the battery with a consumption of 209 watt hours per mile. Miles per kilowatt hour are on the screen now. Pretty good for that long journey. Mostly motorway journey as well. Terribly, great efficiency. You couldn't go wrong. Journey back took a bit longer. We had some road closures on the M5 near Birmingham, and then on the M60, on the M6, just south of Limit Services. But we're back now. So now when we come to the total cost for the journey, so I charged at home with the low price of, I think it's 6.7p per kilowatt hour. So to charge from what I was on, I think about 20% up to 100 cost me around £3.51. We had obviously that supercharge then in Hopwood services, so we've gone all the way from Liverpool down to near London and then back up to Birmingham, and that charged enough to get me home, cost me £10.48, making a total of £13.99. So we've done 400 odd miles for the grand total of £14. You can't go wrong with those prices. You know, my old hybrid car would have cost a lot more than that, and it did cost a lot more than that. A full tank would have got it about 450 miles, and that full tank you're talking about 45 quid. So, EVs are cheap to run, especially when you can charge at home. So I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you want to see more like this, don't forget to subscribe and like, and let us know what you'd like to see on the channel. This has been Ben Goes Electric on a long journey, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you. Bye-bye.